All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Nine. I am your host, Alan Gustafson, and also Moonlight is the crew chief for the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet. Today, we've got a special guest with us, one of my favorite people. I don't think that it's fair to describe you as our second race engineer. So I think you're more like the Swiss Army knife of the 9 team. You do about everything for us. So without further ado, I'll introduce Dustin Shoulders. I've got this cool picture here of 4 generations of Shoulders in Victory Lane after one of your wins. So yeah, tell me a little bit about that and your racing career. We're going to get into your affinity, your love for dirt racing.
Yeah, you like giving me a hard time about that. It started with my grandpa back in I think the early '60s. He started racing, and my grandma actually raced as well. They shared the car. He'd run the actual races, and she'd run a powder puff. And then after that, my uncle and dad got into it, and from there, me, my cousins, basically, it's been a family affair ever since.
So you're a huge dirt racing fan, specifically dirt late models, right?
Yeah, yeah. You like to give me a hard time, but I'm a big fan of dirt late models, Donna Nell, Scott Blomqvist, just following those guys, Lucas Oil Series, all that.
No, I mean, we certainly do rib you. We have some back and forth banter. So I kind of got to give this setup so people understand. At work at the shop, we have a 9 team room that's kind of our little, team operations center where you reside, where Tom Gray resides, and where I reside 80% of the time. So yeah, we give each other a hard time. I'm a dirt fan too, so let's not go let's not get the wrong impression, but you are an ultra dirt fan. One of my favorite things about you being such a dirt fan is every dirt racer's nickname, which that's probably one of my favorite things about dirt racing, and every dirt racer has a nickname. So when we need to know, right? One of my favorites is, of course, a fellow competitor of ours, Christopher Bell. So we asked you, like, what's Christopher Bell's nickname? And you instantly rattle off the baby-faced assassin, which I think is one of the best nicknames ever. So yeah, that's a fun part of our banter in our team room. So you race dirt cars yourself. You got the trophy in the background. You got the dirt late model in the background. You've got some YouTube videos that we made fun of you about racing your street stock. Of course, you're winning, but we like to pick on you about it because it looks like you're racing in a cornfield and things jumping all over the place. So yeah, we have some fun with that stuff. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started racing a stock car, I guess it was back in 2007. My dad and I actually went and bought it was a '87 Cutlass, gutted it, put a frame in it, or a cage, and so that's basically where I learned how to start doing the mechanical aspect of race cars. There, he made me do just about everything except weld the roll cage, and then from there we built my next car and basically done everything ourselves, built our own engines, all that. So it was a good learning process.
So you and Tom are both from Indianapolis or Indiana, not Indianapolis. So he's from Indianapolis, you're from Danville. You guys go back and forth with each other about the geography. So where is Danville, Indiana at?
It's about 30 minutes west of Indianapolis.
Yeah, so pretty much Indianapolis then. So you're also
Yeah,
basically Indianapolis.
we're both pretty close to Indy.
That's cool. So you spent any time in Indy when you were growing up?
Not really. I spent more time in the cornfields and dirt tracks.
Nice. So I got to ask you, dirt track racing, love dirt track racing, and big Bloomquist fan, right? So you're such a big Bloomquist fan. What's your dog's name?
My dog's name's Bloomer. I thought about having him in here for this, but he didn't want to.
I think we need Bloomer. I absolutely think we need Bloomer in there for this. I like Bloomer. He's a husky, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yes, his colors kind of match what Bloomquist has, black and white. So that's where his name came from.
So you race cars, you get a lot of experience doing that. You learn how to work on your own stuff. Your father's somewhat in the racing industry. I know he builds the lifts for race cars and does different things like that. So you've been around it a lot. And ultimately, at some point in time, you decide to go to Rose Holman and get a mechanical engineering degree. So tell me about that and that decision and what all went into that.
Yeah, so I wanted to get a mechanical engineering degree. So I applied to about every college in Indiana that had it. And of, I think 9 schools I applied to, I got denied by one of them, and that was Rose Holman. So I guess that gave me some motivation to try and get accepted. So I guess I got denied because I didn't have physics in high school. So I took physics online over the summer. They accepted me, and went there. Figured if you want to be the best, you got to go to the best, and that was the best place around, despite
Yeah,
what thanks about Purdue.
yeah. Well, yeah, that goes on too. We got to touch on that. So Tom went to Purdue, and you went to Rose Holman, and you guys like to give each other some static about which school produces the better race engineers, which I think they both do pretty good, in my opinion. But a little known fact or secret about you, not only have you raced dirt cars, raced a bunch, working in the NASCAR Cup Series, race engineer goes Rose Holman. At some point in time during all this, you moonlit as a math professor.
Yeah, so when I was in graduate school at Rose, I got approached and asked to teach a statics course at a local community college. So I did that for a semester just to make some extra money, and that was a good learning experience. It was interesting doing it from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, it always intrigued me. I always thought that was really interesting. And when I have math issues and math questions, you're the first person that I am or call. So we go back and forth about some math stuff every now and again, which I certainly enjoy. I think we, like you said, we both kind of geek out on that sometimes, which is fun. So yeah, that's a little known fact about Dustin. So I'm going to do my best to describe what you've done or what you do for the nine. You've done a lot. That's why I kind of called you the Swiss Army knife. So you were hired on as our I guess at the time was the third engineer, right? You were kind of the junior engineer, and you worked on the weekends in our TOC and helped do recon for us and communicate back to the shop. Then you went on the road um, with us as a race engineer. Then the roster limit, you came back off the road and went to the TOC. Then you now are back on the road as a race engineer. And during that time, you kind of moonlit as a at shop car chief and strategy expert and what else? What am I missing? What other things that you do?
Shock guy.
Shot guy, yeah. You do some coding work for us. You're our iRacing expert, right? What am I missing?
I think the shop car chief, that's new, still getting better at that. But, I mean, I serve at the pleasure of the king, so whatever you ask, I'll do it.
What's of all the things you do? What's your favorite? What do you like? What you don't? What don't you like?
Bantering with you in the team room is probably my favorite, but
That
just
is,
things and stuff probably.
unfortunately, we can't go into all of the topics and the banter that we have, but that is my favorite too. It's very fun. It's you're very much a contrarian, right? So you're a good debater.
Sometimes I play devil's advocate to you. Otherwise, just agree with each other all the time.
Yeah, if it's just me and Tom, that train's running off into the sunset. We're running right off a cliff, right? There's nobody to slow that thing down. So yeah, you've got to be the contrarian party.
I just like to debate. So that's the other thing. In college, I had to take so many electives, so I decided if I have to take all these electives, I'm going to get a degree out of it. So I got a political science minor. So I like to debate, like to argue. So that's where it all stems from.
Yeah, which we get into probably more politics than we should.
Yeah,
But yeah. So let's talk about another hobby of yours, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. So are you gonna you are Chase's iRacing coach? Are you going to claim that? Are you going to claim that responsibility, or how are you going to handle this?
coach is an overstatement.
Coach is an overstatement, you said?
Yeah, I don't know. We ran a little Darlington the other day, and I'm a little off the pace compared to him, thankfully.
Yeah, so you like to iRace, you do that. I'm assuming a fair bit, and you did it, with HMS. We have a little HMS league that a lot of engineers race in, and some of the drivers jump in, and you participated in that and won a few of those. So you must know what you're doing a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Run mainly dirt, so when we had the HMS league and ran some asphalt, that was like a fish out of water, but adapted.
You won at Texas.
Yeah, yeah, I won a few of them, but I had a little bit of luck at Texas. Two leaders crashed each other.
And then you told me you were going to make sure you won Eldora, right?
Yeah, we won that by 8.5 seconds. We're good there.
Yeah, not a little bit proud about that one, are you? That's awesome. So where else? You ran second at the Daytona road course, right?
Yeah, one Dover, one Richmond. The 48 engineer Ben Lynch, he was leading Richmond. I practiced in taking right side tires and took right sides, got the lead, and he couldn't pass me back. So pulled off a little strategy there.
Sounds like he was too nice.
Yeah, he probably was. He could have probably crashed me.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, especially Richmond, right?
Yeah, that was about the most fun I've ever had at Richmond, real life or video game.
What stands out most to you? What do you think about when you sit back and reflect on your time? What stands out most besides the debates with me and you?
Um, I think back to what I started doing when I hired in and what I was accomplishing on a weekly basis, and then what I do now and what I accomplish on a weekly basis. And it's amazing how you grow and how you adapt and get better. You can take on more tasks. So I think I'm glad that I've progressed where I have, but I think as the years go, it's only going to get better. And you learn how to do more things, like I am currently on the car side of things, or this year with the shocks. So I enjoy doing new things, learning new stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of new things, and like you said, you certainly excel at that. And we excel at giving you new challenges, which we enjoy. It's always fun to pile a little bit on our little buddy Dustin. We like to do that anytime we can. So yeah, that's good. What about your most memorable win?
Probably the Watkins Glen in 2018, I believe, was the first one. So the year before, I do a little bit of the strategy, and the year before, I came up with the Watkins Glen strategy for the fans that aren't aware, but I came up with it, and it was a terrible strategy. We pit 3 times, pitted ourselves back. I got my butt chewed out afterwards, and we basically went back the next year and said, well, we're not going to do that. So we decided we're going to pit twice. And it was really tight on fuel. I know you and Tom talked about it in your interview with him, but what they didn't say in that was while you were screaming at Tom, he was on the computer screaming at me, all caps, yelling.
It's pretty normal, right?
On fuel. Yeah, that's every week.
Yeah, so you're the other part. So we discussed that with Tom that we worked on some new fuel consumption software and had a new plan, and that was the first time that we really had it in action. Well, you were the guy on the backside of that, right? You were the guy who did the majority of the work and were the guy who was responsible for the majority of that. So when that was going on, you and Tom, I was screaming at Tom and then you and Tom were certainly having some heated discussions, I'm sure.
Yeah, the first thing Tom said when I walked up to him after the win, he's like, "Don't you ever do that to me again." We went back the next year and did the same thing, but we were a little more prepared for that.
So no guest appearance from Bloomer, but still a lot of fun. Got to talk a little dirt racing with you. Talk a little bit about your career, which is young and still on the way up. Look for great things for you in the future. I'm sure we'll see them. Just thanks for joining us. I'd like to thank everybody for checking us out. Another Behind the Nine coming up. So give us some likes, give us some shares, give us some thumbs up, give us some views, and we'll see you soon.